Okay, otherwise go outside. But before that, inform me. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, 9. Hope you all are fine and will be studying. So we are going to start now page number 89 of your chemistry book. And yeah, it's page number 89 we are going to study. And you can see a screen share on your uh, phones as well. Okay. So the last topic we was discussing about liquid properties. Only the last property is left, and that was about density. You can see it's written over here in page number 89, and we are going to discuss it right now. So it was the last property of liquids. So the unit name is physical states of matter, and we have discussed about gases law, and now we are about to finish the properties, typical properties of liquids. So coming towards density, you can see I have written that D is equal to m by V. It means it is the density formula in chemistry or physics. Whenever we want to calculate the density of anything, we will definitely apply this formula. Now what does this formula says? The formula says that the density of any molecule is basically depends upon its mass and per unit volume. So you can write it down as D is equal to m divided by V. Let's say if I give you some mass in grams or in kilograms, and I give you volume, and then I say you please find out the density of the liquid, then definitely you will be able to find out the density of the liquid. Numericals it can also come in your papers as well, that find out the density of a liquid. Now you can say that liquids are denser than gases because the reason is definitely the intermolecular forces. The intermolecular forces are present in liquids, but they are uh, intermolecular forces are more stronger than gases. So you can say that the liquid molecules have strong intermolecular forces, and as a reason they can expand very freely. That's why they have a very fixed amount of volume. You can say that gases, unlike gases, they occupy all the okay. So we can say that gases don't have any specific volume and specific on a specific container they can't come just because of intermolecular forces. So you can say that sorry they cannot occupy all the available volume of the container, so that is why the densities of liquids are very high. Now if we say that what about the densities of solids, then you can say that according to the point of view of volume and container size, the solids have very high density. Then on the second number liquid comes, and then at the end gases have density. So it means liquids come on the second number. The first one state of matter solid has higher densities among all the states. So now there is a, you can see I am just highlighting it for you, this one, why drops of rain fall downward. It is a short question, and the answer is that you can say that density of water is 1 gram per centimeter cube, while that of air is 0.001 gram per centimeter cube. Now look, density of water is a liquid state, its density is 1, and I have told you the density of liquid is greater than gases. While when we see towards air also has some droplets of water and many gases, so air is considered as a gas as well, so its density is quite low, that is 0.001 gram per centimeter cube. So this one is the reason you can write down that the density of water is 1 and the density of air is 0.001 gram per centimeter cube, and we can say the intermolecular forces of liquids are greater than gases. That is the why drops of rain fall downward. Okay, so this is the answer. This is a short answers, and you have to mention these two values, 1 and 0.001 gram per centimeter cube with units. Okay, so the density of liquids also can vary. Means we can see that there are so many liquids. There are many oils: kerosene oil, mustard oil, जिसको आप सरसों का तेल बोलते हो, olive oil. These oils, almonds oil, these oils are very common use. You can also quote the example of cooking oil. You see, there is different density of cooking oil. When you put it in the any container, the flowing of the cooking oil and the remaining oil is quite different. Like kerosene oil. Kerosene oil is used in our motorbikes, in our cars. This oil floats over water. Whenever you put water in that, it makes another immiscible layer on the top of water. While if we take the example of honey, when we make honey water, it gets dissolved not easily. When we will take hot water, it will dissolve easily. When the water is cold, it is moving towards somehow solid situation, then it gets easily not easily dissolved. So the density of liquids can also vary. It depends upon the nature of the liquid, you can say. So this was about the density. You can also write down D is equal to m by v, so that it will also be in your mind always that what is density, and you will be able to find it out. Now there is a box of test yourself. uh, right, test yourself 5.4. It's on your book, and you can see the question number 1. We are going to discuss it one by one. If you have any query, if you want to ask any question in the last 10 minutes, you will be able to ask. So if you have any question, please write it down on a separate page. Now we are going towards question number 1. Why does evaporation increase with the increase of temperature? Now you all of know that while doing the topic of evaporation, I have told you that write down some important points on the top of the topic. Like there were some factors that were affecting the rate of evaporation, and in among that there was temperature. And I have told you that write down rate of evaporation as directly proportional to temperature. Now, if you have this thing in your mind, you know that evaporation increases always with the increase of temperature. Why? They are asking the reason. The reason is over there, that the intermolecular forces helps to liquids to do so. You can more precisely go on that topic and find out the answer from there. Now question number 2, what do you mean by condensation? If you move on the page where the condensation topic is, there is an equation you can see. It's page number it's page number yeah it's page number 85. Over there you can see the process of condensation. The process of condensation was the conversion of vapors into liquids is known as condensation. Remember, while we was discussing about vapor pressure, there was one equation and that achieves dynamic equilibrium. You can go on page number 85 and you can see over there that the conversion of vapors converting into again liquid is known as process of condensation. Now the third one, why is vapor pressure higher at higher temperature? In the topic of vapor pressure, you can see the temperature. Why vapor pressure is higher at higher temperature? Because the kinetic energy of the molecules always increases enough to enable them to vaporize and exert pressure. This one answer is present on page number 86 in the factors temperature of vapor pressure. So the reason is also over there. You can find it out from there, right? Moving on, question number 4. Why is the boiling point of water higher than that of alcohol? Now, remember the topic of boiling point? We have said the boiling point. What was boiling point? Boiling point was basically that point in which the liquid is going to start boiling. Now, when it is going to start boiling? When its temperature will be equal to the atmospheric pressure, and the other name of atmospheric pressure was external pressure as well. Now they are asking that why the boiling point of water is higher than that of alcohol. Both are liquids. Then I have told you that you have to learn alcohol boiling temperature. The boiling point was 78, while that of water is 100 degree. Now they are asking why is it so. So the answer is that the intermolecular forces of water are stronger than that of alcohol. So that is why the boiling point of water higher than that of alcohol. Clear? Now, number 5, what do you mean by dynamic equilibrium? Now, if you go towards the topic paper pressure, they on page number 86, if you all open it. On the second line, it is written that dynamic equilibrium. Now, what is dynamic equilibrium? The equation on the page number 85 explains it well, that when liquids are converted into vapors, when liquid are converted into vapors, means when you take the water and start boiling it and it is converted into steam, this process is known as what? Vaporization. And when these we cover that water with the lid, the water droplets are getting accumulated on the lid when you open it again. So this process is condensation. So this conversion of liquid to vapors and then vapors to again liquid, process of vaporization and condensation becomes equal. So the balance achieved, and that balance is known as, in chemistry, it is known as dynamic equilibrium. Clear? You can see from the book as well these answers. I'm just explaining it and you can write it in your own words as well. Now question number 6. uh yeah, it's over here. Why are the rates of diffusion in liquids slower than that of gases? Now all of you know, while studying the diffusion, we have studied this property in two topics. Number 1 was gases, number 2 was solids. Now we have said that diffusion takes place in both states of matter, but in liquids it is slower than that of gases, because diffusion is basically a very important property of gases. It is also present in liquids, but the rate of diffusion of liquid is really very slow. Now what you can do, you can write down the three factors. It's on page number 88 where we have studied about diffusion. Now you can explain well that there are some intermolecular forces which are weak in the liquids, they move faster. Then you can write down the size of the molecule and all the factors that were over there. Or you can simply say that um, yes, you have to mention all those factors. Now question number 7, why does rate of diffusion increase with increase of temperature? Remember, while doing the unit of topic of diffusion, over there I have told you to write down a key point that diffusion is directly proportional to temperature. So what is the reason? The reason is always that the intermolecular forces become weak at temperatures. Now why they become weak? All of you must know, if you have learned the previous one, that due to high kinetic energy of molecules. Okay, so this is the answer, that the rate of diffusion in liquids slower than that of gases, because sorry, we was doing question number 7. The rate of diffusion increases with increase of temperature because at higher temperature the intermolecular forces become very weak, and due to which kinetic what reason? Due to high kinetic energy of the molecules. This is on page number 88, last, temperature. You can mention all this. Now the last question, that why are the liquids mobile? Now you must know, we just have studied density, and we can say in the density you can see that in last line, kerosene oil floats over water while honey settles down in water just because of density. It is the density of liquids that makes them mobile. Mobile means the thing that is going on function, जो हरकत करती रहे, that is going on movement. Any liquid you just pour it on some other one, it is going to be in the mobile phase, while gases, we can't see gases and we can't say that these molecules are in mobile phase. Diffusion is a very big example of mobile liquids, showing mobility of liquids. Okay, so this was the questions. Now coming towards the last one, state we are discussing now, that is solid state. Now from class I think 2 to onwards, you all of you know there are very two important properties of solid that we discuss. Whenever someone asks what is a solid, definitely it comes, in your mind that the solid is the thing which has some weight, which occupies space, which has a definite shape and definite volume. Means it is the chair, it is a sofa, it is a bed in which you are sitting, it is a a solid, it has a definite shape, we can't mold it. Just like liquid, we can change the shape of the liquid, we put in some other size of container, we can put in other type of container. So it's not possible with liquids, sorry, solids. So you can say, what is the reason behind that? Reason behind that, the molecules are very very close to each other. In the solid state, the molecules are tightly packed with each other, that they are very very unable to move. So they are maintained and has definite shape. But the reason is that the intermolecular forces which are binding them, they are very very stronger in solids. So you can say the intermolecular forces are very strong in solids. That's why the particles, the molecules, them become motionless, means they are unable to move. Let's say, just like that, if I give you the example, the capacity of a bench on which or anybody wants to sit has maximum capacity of 4 students, but I said add one more student, so you will be motionless, you will be unable to move. So similarly happens in solid state. Hence they don't have the property to diffuse, because for diffusion it is the property that there should be some space so that the molecule's kinetic energy will be transferred to the other molecules. So it is possible only in liquids and gases, not in solids, when each and everything is very very tightly hold with each other. So you can say that if kinetic energy is present in liquids and gases, so what kind of motion, what kind of energy is present in solids contains only vibrational motion. Vibrational means as your phone is in vibration mode, you get to know that says something, but the mode is silent, there is no voice. So there is vibration, that only vibration can be felt by one person to another person, or and one molecule to another molecule. So the vibrational motion is always present in solid particles. Now, we are going to study about some typical properties of solids. Among them, the first one is melting point. Then we will study about rigidity. Then we will study another property, allotropy. And we will also study about density and types of solids as well. Now, first property of solid is melting point. Now, remember the property of liquid. The property of liquids was, you can say the property of liquid was important one is boiling point, that liquid has the property to boil. Now here come the difference. uh, I'm just highlighting that we are on melting point, right? This is important one, and it is important in the prospect that 2018 was the year when it comes. Now melting point is the important property of solids, while boiling point is the important property of liquids. Boiling point at which the liquid is going to be boiled. And now what about melting point? Melting point is the point basically which has the property to melt. Now you can see we have a solid, like a simple example. Let's start with a very very simple example. You have a candle that is in a solid form. When you just turn on the flame, with the passage of time it is going to start melt. It means it is going towards its melting point. So when you burn the candle, it was in the solid situation. When you it is going towards liquid, it is starting melting. So you can say the conversion of solid into liquid is the basically melting point. Now the solid particles, you I have already told you which kind of motion or energy they have. They have only vibrational kinetic energy. So due to this vibrational kinetic energy, they will do their work, and you will you can say that the melting point will reach. There is equation which is saying that I am highlighting it, that solid is converting, there are two arrows, means reversible reaction, converted into liquid. So this process is known as melting point. Now the reason is that there are some vibrational kinetic energies that are present, and when they are starting increasing, obviously there is a solid, there is a piece of candle, we just turn on the flame, means we are providing some energy कि वो vibrational kinetic energy जो है वो start होना शुरू हो जाए. What happens, जो pass वाली होगी, it will give vibrations to the other molecule, and so on so on so on. So all the molecules in the container or in that particular solid will start moving, and what happens, they will definitely vibrate at their mean position with a very higher speed. So what happen as a result, when we are supplying something heat, that will initiate this process. There will be some point comes when it will convert it into the liquid, and when that solid is converting into the liquid, this point is, no, I have written MP means melting point. So this one temperature at which a solid starts melting and then coexist means जिसमें जितने ही molecules solid के liquid में बन रहे हैं उतने ही liquid के molecules will converting into the solid. Coexist means एक जैसा होना. So when they coexist in dynamic balance or equilibrium with liquid state, that point is known as melting point. I think it should be very, very highly clear to you. The reason is behind that there are vibrational kinetic energy and they are giving continuously with moving higher speed, and then they become mobile. So a point reaches when all the molecules that are converting solid into liquid are also coexisting in the same phases. So this achievement of dynamic equilibrium is known as melting point. And remember, this is a property of solids. Let's say if it comes that the dash is a very important property of solids, you will write down melting point. And boiling point is the, remember, property of liquids, not solids. So you can say the ionic and covalent solids means like sodium chloride and covalent solids in which covalent coordinate bond is present make network structure of to form macromolecules. Now what are macromolecules? This is another terminology. Macromolecules, this one I am highlighting. Macro means very bigger, giant structure. The molecules which has a larger structure, like sodium chloride, it is very smaller molecule, only only two atoms, sodium and chloride. But macromolecules, there are so many examples of macromolecules like cotton, nylon thread. You can see sugar, C6H12O6. This is a formula of sugar. This is a formula of glucose. This is a macromolecule in which there are 6 carbon molecules and hydrogen molecules atoms are 12. Similarly, sugar formula is C12H22O11. This is the form of macromolecules. They have very, very high melting points. Now, this was all about melting point. Now we are moving another property of solid, that is rigidity. Now, rigidity. What is rigidity? If I say to some person that this person is very rigid, he will be or she will be unable to move on her decisions, means this person is very, very hard. This person is very, very harsh. Similarly, solids have this property. When you touch a table, you can hear the sound. This is rigid. This is showing the example of rigidity. I am touching the sofa. This is making the sound of rigidity. So this is the property of solids as well. Liquids and gases are unable to have this property. It's just because that the particles of solids are not mobile. They are not in moving phase always. They have very, very fixed position. So that's why we can say all the solids are very rigid in their structures. Now the last one is density. I am sharing the page for with all of you. You can also move on your books, page number 90. So the page number 90 is over here. Now the last property of solid we are going to discuss is density. You can see I have written some important points for you over there on my book, that density is solids, liquids and gases. Means solids have higher densities, then on the second number it's liquid, and then at the end it's gases. It's just because of intermolecular forces. So you can say that solids are the more denser than liquids and then gases, because I have told you that they are very, very closely packed with each other. They don't have any space. So between their particles, if there is no space, only vibrational kinetic energy will be there. So you can say the higher densities among the three states of nature is of solid. Now there is an example of different solids, that aluminium having 2.70 gram per centimeter cube. Iron symbol is Fe, is 7.86, and gold, which we used to wear, girls usually used to wear, is 19.3 gram per centimeter cube. So only the key point among the whole paragraph I have written, and I have highlighted it for you. Kindly write it down on your books as well. Now, little bit topic, the last we will just cover it, that types of solid. There are two types of solids. When we was studying the start of the unit. Then also we discussed it that there are two types of solids which are commonly known as, number one is amorphous and number two is crystalline solid. The word is amorphous, okay? pH is F always. Now you can categorize the solids into two forms. Amorphous means shapeless, which doesn't have any shape, the powdered form, not granule form. That is known as amorphous solids. Now solids in which the particles are not regularly patterned, means sodium, if you see the pattern of sodium chloride, we see the three-dimensional picture in our uh, last unit. But there are some solids present which don't have their regular pattern, so they are unable to maintain their shape. Their shape can be destroyed very easily when we just provide them heat. When we just dissolve them in the water, they have the ability to lose their shape at once. These kind of solids are known as amorphous solids, and the shapes, their regular shapes can easily be destroyed, so these are known as amorphous solids, and they don't have any sharp melting points. Why? Because melting point is the property when there are very strong shape of that particular solid is. So plastic, you can see we can change plastic in another form very easily by heating it. And rubber, you can stretch it as much as you can. And even glass are amorphous solids as they do not have any sharp melting points. Okay, the other form is crystalline solids. Now what are crystalline solid? Name is indicated that which has three-dimensional pattern in that, and they have some form crystalline solids, means they have definite surfaces or faces. Remember the three-dimensional structure of a sodium chloride in which there was a cube and sodium particles are arranged in a very regular pattern, that is three-dimensional structure. Now you can say that each phase has definite angle with the other, and they have very sharp melting points. And examples of crystalline solids are sodium chloride and diamond. Diamond is a very good example of crystalline solids. If you have an experience to see the diamond is in a very regular pattern, and that is the why it is unable to change its direction easily. So these were the two types of solids. For now we have discussed about all the important properties of solids. There is only one property left, that is allotropy. We will discuss it in the next lecture, inshallah ta'ala. Right now I am sharing with all of you the homework, and you are supposed to complete this homework till your next class. So please complete your homework, and I am just sharing your homework. This is your homework. This is the homework for today, class 9. Question number 1, write a note on melting point of solids and explain why it is an important property of solids. Okay, you have to write down all and each and everything which we have studied just about melting points. First write down the definition, and then go on the explanation, and then write down the equation and explain it well. Then question number 2, differentiate between crystalline and amorphous solids. This is the example which I just have told you, that amorphous solids and crystalline solids. You first have to mention the definitions, and then you have to give some examples. Then there is a question number 3. It will be covered inshallah in the next chapter. There is a note I have written that complete your homework till Friday, other than the topic allotropy. We will discuss it in the next class. And on page number 89 you can also see there is test yourself. You also have to complete this one. Okay, well, please write down that defined term allotropy with example, cut it down and write down the box number or test yourself 5.4 over there, so you can complete it. And if now if you have any question, you can ask me.